It is 5. Get this show on the road. Um, so. Last week, we were able to make some cuts. We started out at 16% increase. One of the things that since I was asking about the expenses and the revenue is I feel like we targeted an increase of 5%. And we have been messing with both expenses and revenue, which means that we need to just be clear about if it's what our 5% goal is on expenses or if it's on net for the budget. I think unfortunately for us, I don't know that there is any good news on either front. Right now, based on the increases or the decreases that are reflected in the budget that we discussed last week, our increase is now, as far as I can tell, 9.11% from an expense thing from last year to this year. 9.1.
Yeah, that's the 5.49.
Yes. Okay. Let me just do this. If we're looking at net on that, sorry, math on the fly is why I have to bring the computer. We're looking at an 11% increase because revenue is down largely on the municipal revenue sharing, although there's a couple of other lines as well. So I guess kind of before we go line by line, I think it's important for us to just talk about what it feels like we have more control over the expenses than we do the revenue. And so, but I just feel like I'd like to make sure that as we're talking about this, that we're setting the targets in a way that we're all clear about. Certainly increasing the undesignated fund balance decreases the tax burden in this year. But I think what we're talking about realistically is large enough numbers that, you know, we don't have the undesignated fund balance to revenue our way out of this problem.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If we're looking at, do we want to try to angle it for budget and expenses versus net? I would like to be at 5% budget. Just because revenues and offsetting things are never guaranteed. And so if we depend, I worry that if we depend too heavily on the revenues side of it, and then something bad happens or something shuts down, that revenue no longer comes in. Or even if it's not something bad and just the money isn't there, I don't like trying to balance a budget that way.
The undesignated fund balance is basically a town's safety net. I mean, that's our savings.
And I worry about pulling any more from it.
Correct. I mean, other towns have undesignated fund balances that are several times what ours is, and that's normal. You know, I aspire to that goal, but we ain't there.
Yeah.
So just to help I'm also in a bad math space right now. Just so I'm following along properly. $5,549,384 represents a 9.1% increase over the FY 26 2,000. Correct. So we want to, let's say we're going for a 5% goal. We're looking at a 5% increase, just flat over 5,032,000 for a goal of around 5.283.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Just making sure I'm following along right.
We would need to cut the budget an additional $208,000 to accomplish that.
Okay.
No more recreation, easy.
Recreation actually brings in more
Right?
revenue.
Actually,
They're about the only department that does.
I retract this.
Right?
I'm sorry, what was the number again?
I've got 5,283,000.
What was the net, the amount that we're trying to cut? 200 and something?
210-ish.
That was not too good, yeah, they can go deeper than that.
um. Mhm.
Ask them if anybody sees anything that they would like to say, I don't wanna go through it line by line, and then you can maybe run the line.
Yeah, I mean,
Phone a friend while you're at it.
I mean, I have some suggestions.
Cool.
I would have some suggestions to get us halfway there. It's kind of jumping around, but I'm happy to suggest them just because I spent some time today trying to look at them and, then we can go from there.
Go right ahead, where are we going?
So I would suggest we eliminate the Middle Narrows project. With the idea that we would do the project, if we receive the grant funding to do so. By my calculations, sorry, that is public
Public
works.
Works, 1315.
By my calculation, that savings of 150 should actually, I mean, we should only count as $50,000 in savings because we put $100,000 in undesignated fund balance to cover a portion of it last week.
Is that what undesignated fund balance is for? To go towards stabilization? I don't know.
No, there was I don't think there's any stabilization money that's in there. There was, the Mosley Dock money that was pulled out of undesignated funds, so that has its own spot.
I just know that we had put $100,000 in undesignated fund balance. So I guess we can separate them. I guess I would say we could pull that if we count that as more than $50,000, well then we're almost there.
So you want to, I'm just gonna delete it.
Yeah, I would say delete it.
So how much is that? 150,000?
Yep.
Okay.
Back up though, you're saying we put money in undesignated fund for
No,
stabilization?
so last week, we added, I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but we added $100,000 of revenue in undesignated fund balance.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I thought that we had kind of justified using that because we had budgeted the 150 to use as a major capital project this year. So just in the spirit of not wanting to use undesignated fund balance to cover annual operating expenses.
That is what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing it for the stabilization, but I thought it was to help in general for the budget.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I thought that,
Position.
okay, I was only thinking that if I was comfortable putting that in there, if it was justified, I mean, it ends up supporting the operating budget, but it was justified because we had a large capital expense that we had budgeted in this year. So I guess we can discuss that separately from expense cuts.
So that brings public works down to 453,000, removing the 150.
Well, this is more, again, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. My next suggestion was a revenue suggestion, which was the waste budget. We budgeted $20,000 increase for Pine Tree waste. And I would suggest revisiting our expense fee to cover that $20,000 increase.
So raise point of sale fees to bring that down.
Yep.
That is a conversation we could need to have we had it, what, a couple years back, and probably gonna be visiting that every year. 'Cause
I mean,
Years are, real high traffic numbers or not.
yeah. I mean, right now, we budget for $45,000 in revenue for waste, so, I mean, $20,000 is not an insignificant increase. At the same time, so that is my idea.
Take it down 20, did you say?
Take, uh,
From 200?
Yeah,
Taking
but-
down Pine Tree,
Put it back at 180.
180?
right, well, the
goal would be to raise
goal would be to
dump
raise.
fees,
Yeah, but you're
Don't
taking
worry.
this expense down to 180,
correct?
correct, okay.
And then there's dump fees, you mean just all of us pay more for the bags and
And what I would suggest actually is not necessarily for the bags, but, there's a fee structure for demo waste in particular, and that would largely be where I would imagine that the increased revenue coming from.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine raising the price of the bags.
Yeah.
Sorry about the call, but raising the price of throwaway or freight or something, though, I could see.
Oh, building,
yes, sorry, I just, the words, I didn't understand the words because revenue is really taxes to me, so I'm working backwards. So you're saying you would raise that from, to make up the difference you're cutting at 45?
No, so the revenue is actually money that we make outside of taxes.
Well, I understand it's still a tax, okay, but however, but you mentioned 45K, right?
Right, correct, we currently budget to receive $45,000 in revenue for
Yeah, okay.
the dump,
Okay, got it.
yeah,
Right, including both types,
correct,
residential, yeah.
right, yeah.
And so you wanna raise that 20 to get.
That is I'm throwing out ideas to figure out how to get to large numbers. We're not deciding anything right now, I'm throwing out my suggestions. Um. I know you had talked about wanting to revisit the Waldo County CAP agency. And, I know the past couple of years, we haven't used anywhere close to the outreach worker, so was thinking between the two of those that we could cut like 5.
I mean, if we're not using the outreach worker, we're potential for the vote, as well as just that.
I mean, we haven't used more than $8,000 since FY 24, we used 7,500. FY 25, we used 7,800. This year, we've used $1,200 to date.
I think a lease on my box is fair. A nice round 10 is probably good, to see a little bit of wiggle room just in case we had a high year. But I'd support that. That's not a bad idea at all.
so that was the outreach worker?
Yeah.
Okay. Then to 10? Is
Yeah.
that what you said? And what was the other one, Waldo Camp?
Well, I know you had talked about wanting to talk about the Waldo cap, so I don't know if you have ideas. I'm fine with just cutting the outreach worker to 5 to be in line with what we have historically used, but
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know if you have any other ideas on the cap that you want to bring forward.
No, it was just, I know that they said that they'd submitted a letter to you saying how much money they had given.
You all have that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have mine anymore, but was that the exact amount that they said that they'd given to us?
That they've used in past year, I believe. I can find it.
And so I was thinking about potentially reducing it. I appreciate everything that they do, but they also do get money from Waldo County that we're getting ready to chip into. And they didn't cut their special appropriations. And but it's not a lot, it's, but it's if we're trying to scrape. Yeah, that was where my thought had came in on that one.
Waldo County Community. That was $879 that we're paying them. In the past year, Islesboro received $95,657 worth of services. from Waldo County Cap. So they're asking for $2,391, I'm sorry, $879 was FY 26. So it did jump.
Quite substantially. I was thinking that maybe if we needed to take bites out of that to get it up to where they needed us to be, then maybe do $1,500 this year and then you can add on and then take it to $3,000 next year. But instead of doing it all in one jump, but like, it's such a minimal number that it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, we're,
If we're using those services, then.
Right.
Won't be. Gotcha.
So did you say that there was a reduction in the pine tree waste allowance?
It is a suggestion for discussion.
So that's now $200,000?
It had, or the initial request was 200, yeah.
And so what happens if we reduce that?
We would need to make up with it with revenue at the transfer station
So that's where you.
for demo, right? That's, the suggestion would be to revisit the transfer station fees, particularly on the demo side of things.
Okay.
And then the last thing that I have is, just if it makes sense to look at anywhere in capital reserves, if we shave $33,000 off, then get down to 4.97% from an expense perspective.
aging systems,
What?
aging systems.
Yeah.
We take some from there. We are gonna have to build that back up,
Yeah,
because we just depleted it.
yeah. You wanna take it down to 25? I mean, if something big happens, that's the only thing I've got there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm,
Yeah.
like I
no,
said, was trying to imagine how we get to the kind of large numbers that we need to, there, so at some point, like, we're not gonna have, the decision is we are not going to do something, is basically where we are, so, I'm happy to hear other ideas, you know, I'm not, these are just the suggestions that came to me as I was looking at the budget before we got here.
So if we do those, we're at 175 to the 210. I don't wanna touch anybody's, the employees. Or the, obviously the contracted things that we have, but what about if we go through the committees and. All of the committees that get money, so we need to start reducing from there.
Could I just suggest that we, well. That we skip over general government went up 2%.
Yeah.
Because of cost of living, public safety went up 0%. So I feel like,
Public safety actually went down, didn't it?
yeah.
Like, public safety is doing their job of making sure that we all have stuff. Yeah. Nope, I'm with you on that one.
So, is there any way that 700 acre can eat through one more year with the truck that they have? That we can put this $30,000, this big purchase into half now, half next year?
In what truck?
The new plow truck on Acre Island, is there any way that they can
No.
go through one more?
We already paid for repairs for that thing.
Yeah.
At least twice.
They're praying it, we made it through this year.
Yeah, yeah, they're already down to the last year.
A few weeks ago, you asked about the planning board land use application fee. And those are open for adjustment as well. We don't need to change the ordinance for that.
Will they work on that, or is this for the select board to do?
It just says in the ordinance that it's up to the select board to determine the fees.
Okay, I know that Dave's working on that, coming up. with-
How much is it, the revenue from the fees right now?
It's a good question.
5,000, and it's very normal.
So much, you know.
How can you get to the $30,000 salary for the new facilities manager? Is
We,
that
What section you on?
I'm on-
Is it-
45-2, 10-43, the facilities manager?
originally that and seasonal help was combined into a third public works position and then was split out
Yeah,
into two different positions.
don't you have two, does he not have the two
Yes,
colored?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
so it's really 30. Oh, is that what your question is, 30?
right, right, well, that's what I'm wondering, is like, did we? I guess my question is there any wiggle room on that, or have we already signed a contract at 30?
I
Like,
haven't signed a contract yet, but I've told Mert it could be up to 3 days. I mean, it could be 2 days. And then
yeah,
I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, it could go down some.
I mean, I'm just. If it's a new creation, it seems like this will do a long year, but we work, like maybe we're at 25, 28.
Great.
There, there's 5,000, at the rate, at the point we're at right now,
That's what we're.
5,000 is
Right.
a pretty solid number.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what the competitive rate for that position would be, so maybe that is exactly what it should be, but. It seems like it's a new position, we're trying it out.
Right, as we are at the point where we need to,
Right. So maybe we think, I mean,
Want to take it down to 20?
I go to 25, I wouldn't go as far as 20. You know, I think that's.
All right.
The only similarity I can think of is my role of IAP. This is working down past 25.
What does this person do?
They're gonna be the one that handles all of the coordination with like generators, sprinklers, the general facilities management and organization and coordination, which is a lot of what Mert already does for.
Mert does fire-related ones, but
How does it
selecting
come up
one
with
is
3 days?
to take care of all town buildings. just
Because
not
it's like
to-
not a full-time position.
No, but I mean, there's something magic about 3 days a week.
No, we had to make it appealing to somebody to take the role. I think that was our first misstep the first time, was we didn't make it. It was a temporary job, it was short
Right.
hours, and it wasn't much money, so I would assume that would be where we kind of landed on. You know, maybe
And Mert
use
has
more.
1 day a week now, he's as fire, that's been his, for years and years, so this would be adding, then giving him 2 days. On top of that to do, and there's going to be a myriad of different things that he can do to help. He can take things to the mainland for Joy of the water sample, instead of Public Works taking half a day to go off, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be. He can be utilized, like tomorrow he's going to the library to meet up with the TC Hacker lady. See what she says.
Is she really coming like the 8th and leaving on the 9th?
Well, I think she said she needs 2.5 hours, so she didn't tell me early on how long.
Alright.
But so Mert's gonna have to entertain her.
Amazing.
Are you, Pete, if you're there?
Yeah, yeah, my.
Well, the noon, I was trying to get her off, instead
Yeah.
of staying here till 12:30, but.
so, does it make sense to start section by section?
What are we down to?
Honestly, kind of rolling through with what I've been doing with the thing. I am getting ready to go into recreation. Because like we discussed the snowplow and the different things that we could talk about in the facilities manager spot. I think all of those have already been covered up to 47. Because either it's contract employees or.
Yeah.
Those, and so I say we start in 47. But I'm also looking for like big jumps that, do we know when the power bill will come back down with all of our solar arrays that we currently have working? Okay,
What power bill? Ours in general or the health centers or?
well, we have solar, theirs isn't turned on yet, but the library is turned on, and theirs is
Yeah.
turned on now too?
Yeah.
Good,
So we
it's-
haven't seen, the benefit of that yet. We haven't seen, just a financial benefit.
I'd like to see the financial benefit.
I know.
Our array was covered with snow for 2 months.
Yes.
Which is why our bill shot way up. Normally, our bill is 0 in this building. But when panels are covered in snow, it shoots up. The array that's over at the health center now is not large enough to meet their power needs. We knew that going in. It was what we could do with the grant money without going through all of the different steps for environmental protection and everything like that. They are, Energy Committee is currently working on the engineering design for the ground array. So that's the step they're on right now. Eventually they will have an array that should be able to cover their power needs. And that process is started. The build is likely gonna happen, I hope this calendar year. That is when we should really be able to see a reduction in power use from the health center, because right now their power use is greatly exceeding the small array that's on their roof. But yeah, we couldn't have it all at once, and we couldn't have it immediately, so it's something that we're doing on the back end, just because that's the way we had to structure it. But we should, when that array is up, we should see those reductions. The library, actually, their power bill has already come down.
Does it pay for the capital expenditure? Or was that all through grant for the library here and there?
No,
Was that
that
all
was, the library was done by the Friends of the Library.
Yeah.
The one on the health center was done with grant money.
Yeah.
And actually, the one that's on the roof right now, the one that's on the ground couldn't be done with grant money, so it had to be done with bond money, but the way we structured it, it's basically done with grant money.
And this building was done with.
Actually,
We paid,
this building predates me, so I'm not sure, was it tax money?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that's.
and nice, credits at that time.
Right, we paid for it as people, and then
Yeah.
it's paying
It's
itself.
all paid for now. I mean, we
It paid
paid it
itself
all.
back in cash terms, so.
No, we paid it all. At 6 years, you can buy them out.
Yep.
So now we'll be seeing, I mean, we weren't seeing revenue before,
Yeah, I understand.
revision was receiving that. And now we are going to be receiving.
No, I know you're, I was just curious about the math behind it, in other words.
And still
Hasn't really
quarterly,
paid
we
for
had to
itself, no.
pay, we paid still to revision quarterly into the other company.
Lighthouse, I say that we do the,
You're at section 47.
I say that, 20, I'm at 2511. What number were you saying?
Section 47, right?
Yes.
Correct section, yeah.
Under the museum and lighthouse. Maybe we tell them that they can only do $20,000 and hopefully they can raise the $5,000 themselves. And so that would be for 4,800, yeah.
I mean, they have not gonna, you know, I thought for that as well, like, they have a very good track record of fundraising. I think it would be probably pretty reasonable to expect that they could do that.
They're gonna start maxing it out soon.
What
though.
was the number again? I'm sorry.
We're taking it down to 20 flat.
Which line?
The
2511 under 47.2.
equipment repairs for the Grindle Point,
From 24.8 to what?
20,000.
Okay.
Ken, do you think that would be a possibility? Ken?
He's my mom, doesn't he?
Okay.
Oh, you know, never mind.
Yeah, no, I think
He's
he's
holding.
not the chair.
Okay. What about when we go into harbor facilities maintenance, they ask for the 15,000 more, what if we only do 10? And give them 30,000?
I think,
I'm doing it pretty indiscriminately, so. if somebody
yeah, I
has
think there's a
discretion,
big
have to see it.
project that I wouldn't do that.
Harbor, I would say if we can leave that one alone.
I say that we take shellfish back to, I'm at 2510 under 47-4.
Hold on, Ken's gotta
Now, hold on.
The harbor committee, everything that we put in the budget is actually spent.
We're not touching it.
There is a little bit of room in the museum.
Okay, we did take 4,800, we're proposed to take 4,800 out of the museum.
But we did most of that work. We done this some.
I think that we take shellfish down, we don't give them any increase, they stay at their 1,000.
Wait a minute, shellfish.
I am not trying to speed rush this, but I honestly don't want to be here forever.
What,
If I'm stepping on your show you need to say something.
I just wanna, I mean, I'm happy to have you propose changes. I just wanna make sure that we discuss it before we
Yeah.
kind of go on to the next one.
I'm just keeping myself Brittany.
Where is the shelter?
2 lines under harbor,
47.4.
page 13 of 18.
What did they wanna do with that, Janet?
That seed stock or something,
yes.
Oh, right.
something they hadn't done in the past that they actually want to
Correct.
get
Kim,
involved
they have a
in now.
new, chair, so I think she's trying to,
What do we do, 15? Maybe give them a little bit of something extra to show good faith, just like, I'm fine with. It seems to me that the school also does like spat stuff and stocking the clams, right?
They're doing scallops.
The scallops is good. What did they do with Janet? Doesn't Janice go out and do like clam boxes or
That's,
something?
that was the in Hurricane Island. But I don't know that the two necessarily overlap at all.
No, well, I was just thinking like it were.
Right.
all right, Kim had, asked for $100 for state licensing of the LPA, 1,000 for materials, spatial, spat, what's that? Spat collection, broad code, and 2,000 seed stock from Down East Institute. That's what she came up with, 3,100. So yeah, if,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're, I'm sort of indifferent about it, but. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sort of
this has
indifferent
been-
about it.
This has been the year that we keep saying to everybody, like, maybe isn't time for new stuff. So, I mean, with that thought in mind, I don't mind turning it down. Also knowing that we have other organizations in town that I think are kind of doing very similar work.
So what are we putting for it?
So. That would be 47.4, 45.10, 48. I mean, I don't mind, I'm not opposed to like 15, just take 16, cut it in half. Give them something,
Take 1,600 out of
take
it?
1,600 off, that way they get a little bit of a bonus, we don't feel like we're just shutting them down. Cause it's good work, but.
I'm doing a whole minute. What is 3,100 minus 1,600?
1,500.
Thank you.
I know this is the first year they asked for anything, really, it's been $1,000 for a long time.
Well, what if we just made it $1,000 instead of 50?
Well, they also haven't used any of the $1,000 that they've budgeted for the past several years,
Okay.
so.
Revenue touch rec. Because they're doing
They're not gonna
such,
get
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So we're gonna remove 21. Under limits.
So you said 15, take it down to 15?
Right.
Or,
I'm okay with taking it down to taking it down to 15,
Okay, let's do that.
but I just say like, hey, let's use what you have, you can,
Let's take it to 15, yeah, let's call that good. We're minus
Okay.
1,600 off, but take 15 and encourage them to use that.
yeah.
and what is the running total at this point?
Well, it depends, I don't feel like I necessarily got, so what I have right now is 150 if we take out the Narrows project. I'm not clear on how bad of an idea the dropping the $20,000 waste down was, or if you are okay with taking those savings.
I have that on my tally already, I think that's fun.
Okay.
Good one. We have to rate, we've got to rate those fees anyway, we might as well.
So we're at 170.
So then we've got $5,000 from the outreach worker. I,
175.
and then
that's total they're trying to get to, Brian?
208, 10.
I've got $5,000 from the facilities management. Got $4,800 from the lighthouse. I've got $1,600 for shellfish conservation. So before, I feel like we sort of just talk round numbers about taking down capital reserve. So without taking anything into account there, we're at 5.4% increase, total savings of $186,400 so far.
That sounds like 5%.
I show we're at $5,303,984.
59 cents.
And
I know that the light, I'm sorry, go ahead. Do you feel abandoned from me?
No, I just. I'll need to follow what you're telling me, I think.
That's why I have to bring it, because it just, I can't.
Big missing,
Yeah.
that's $105,000. Museum. Outreach, facilities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I know that the preschool didn't ask for any extra money this year, but it might, if we're going through it line by line, I would also take $5,000 from the preschool.
I hate to, and like, take away, like, if we're trying to attract families, I just feel like I would hate to take it away there.
I have my reservations about the only place that I'm willing to do that, I think, is the insurance subsidy that we give them. I just have my reservations about that. I know that I bring it up a few times, but if we could even, like, I would have no reservations about it if we had some way to ensure that that money was actually being used for the purpose that we give it to them to use it for.
Why? Why is that important? You've brought that up several times. Why is that
Because
so
it feels,
important to you?
because it feels like we're just basically giving them, I mean, not that every employee everywhere doesn't need to be making more money. It just seems like we're paying a salary and we're effectively giving them like a bonus to go with it every single year. And it just seems like if we, expect a paper trail of all the other money and things that we spend and we take the kids on, that we, it's reasonable to say that we'd like to know $7,000 per employee per year is going.
So I kind of feel like it's part of the benefits package and,
Which is part of total pay.
yeah.
But if it's not an agreeable idea, it's not an agreeable idea, that's fine, but that is my logic there. I would be happier just offering them an insurance package.
That would cost much more than 7,000.
Yeah,
Well,
That'd be closer to 40 per employee.
sure, well, then maybe we need to rename it from insurance subsidy to benefits subsidy or some other thing. It just feels.
The idea is because they aren't being given an insurance, they aren't being
Right.
given insurance coverage, they would
So
give something to assist with healthcare expenses. I
So-
mean, I certainly don't want to track their receipts for every doctor's visit.
I mean, I don't necessarily want to track, I don't want to track their receipts, it's not really what I'm saying, what I'm saying is like. If we know that that's what it's supposed to go for, we just kind of cut them a blank check, hope for the best, and. I just don't think. I don't know, I just have issues with that way that works, and that's fine, we don't have to change it, it's just I don't like the way that works, so that's fine, it's not up to me to change, so.
Is it under health?
preschool,
Yeah.
it's under 41, general government, 41.6, early education. Page
Oh.
4.
I apologize, I skipped right over that. Yeah.
And I think, well, the reason why it originally, I think, came out even into a separate line, because to me, it's all just preschool subsidy,
Correct.
is, as they were looking to attract folks and trying to be more transparent in what the request would go towards.
And their request is broken down that way, so we. Totally.
How much are we giving energy committee this year? Are they under?
77, they're under public works.
Okay, at some point. It doesn't matter, 'cause I'm not gonna be perfect. All of these additional ones should have been together. That I'm not open for discussion, I'm just stating things out there. Oh, they actually asked for less, I mean.
Really?
I'm trying to,
Get grants?
no, I'm trying to go through my head of what other committees there are. Cemeteries maxed out. You could try to do. Reach out to the energy committee and see if you can knock another 5 off of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't remember if I feel like it was for this solar array, and I don't know if you're saying, I don't know what the no is.
It's not for solar.
Okay.
They might be putting up a solar array somewhere else, but this money is not budgeted for it, right?
Oh, okay, so I think I misunderstood their memo that I don't have here.
If I can find it.
Either.
Where is, what is the number of the?
The number that she is talking about is under Public Works Energy Committee, that's $77,500.
You want me to read Harriet's letter or try to?
Yeah, pick through what, what that 77.5 was.
All right, we've saved money on our projects this year by taking advantage of expiring rebates on heat pumps. We've not completed everything yet, but anticipate about 30,000 remaining in the town budget. We would like to apply this money to next year's budget. In addition to the 70,000, we requested to build additional solar capacity for the town. We've identified the salt shed, the up island garage, and possibly a land array near the garage as possible sites. We have estimated the cost of these arrays to be around $100,000. The existing arrays only cover about 50% of town usage. Long-term town recoups not only the cost of the arrays, but another 200 for every 100 spent. And the budget request includes $7,500 for the island fellow. And the alliance line is the prize money, so that's something that they be holding and earmarked for community outreach and consultant costs longer term. Anybody on?
Does anybody, I mean, I would hate to have them not be able to put solar to bring online if we cut it by 5,000 this year, but if we took caps, I don't care from what lines, if we took a combination of $25,000 from capital reserves, we're down to the magic 5.278 or a 4.91% increase.
Cause I have it that we're still looking to find $23,600.
Do you wanna take 25 from that building system? Did you decide on that or not? That would take 25. And then leave 25.
Yeah, that was something.
Capital reserve.
It was capped, I mean, it was at 50. But with the 25 in this year and there, it's kind of held at 49,000 or 50,000 for a long time. And then that sewer, the septic system took it. And that's what we need.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know that we need some money in there,
Three gallons next to
I'm
47.
good with taking 25 away.
taking 25.
Frame.
So while everybody's still thinking about this, I was looking at the health center budget. They didn't reduce anything. They found a donor for $100,000 that we asked them to do. You guys will be at this exact same spot next year. Unless, how many years did the donor say that they were willing to pay the
This is a year,
1 year?
1 year.
Okay.
At this point, I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball, I can't.
Right,
tell you
but if they
what-
didn't commit to like 5 years or anything like that, free,
No.
phenomenal, no? Okay.
And first, are we taking the building system down to 25? So
I would support that.
I just wanna get this written.
I don't know how others are,
Where is
I'm
it?
hearing silence and
Where is it?
That's just it.
Big
capital reserves.
Capital reserves,
Building system.
50,
So 60, 50, 50.
from 50 to
How far-
25,
how far from there?
okay.
Yeah, I hate. We, yeah, cause we're 50, well, 50,000. Yeah, what about?
What kind of aging systems does that cover?
Anything. from this.
Like if the septic system for this building fails,
Again?
well, that's what that was used for.
Right.
So I mean, it's stuff like, stuff like that, or, well pump fails, or, something like that, that we're like, oh, we can't just wait to fix this, like, this has to be fixed now.
Or
They're asking for
Nothing's in it right now.
nothing in it.
Yeah, you used
it.
It's 1,400.
Yeah,
Right.
practically. Yeah, I don't know.
At least something.
And then,
Yeah.
so you want to take it down to 25,000 instead of 50 this year? Gotcha.
And I don't care necessarily where it comes out of, I'm just suggesting that perhaps we take 25 somewhere out of capital reserves.
I mean, we already cut 150 from roads and some from sea level rise.
Mm.
Yeah, aging systems is really, I hate to take it from Dark Harbor.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that.
Yeah, any day now.
Sea level rise.
I am,
So, bear with my ignorance on this for a second here. When we're looking at making a purchase of, say, something like this excavator, for instance, at $70,000, is there any reason that we're not looking into doing that and like on a multi-year lease or something to be able to spread that cost? Is there a reason we don't do that?
We discussed that actually at the last meeting.
I can't recall.
Yeah, the answer is basically we've spent nearly $30,000 this year contracting out services that we could do in-house with that excavator.
Right, no.
So even if we put away 30,000 now, we would spend the equivalent of what we're not spending contracting those services out.
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is like, if it's gonna cost $70,000 to purchase this excavator outright, correct? That's the idea. Is there a reason why we aren't laying 35,000 on the table this year as to enter into a lease agreement with whoever's selling it to us, rather than buying it outright in one big lump sum?
So you'd rather rent it, or are you talking about,
So you'll
I'm
leave
saying-
it.
you're talking about financing it?
I mean, effectively, yeah, I'm saying like, rather than putting down $70,000 to buy it outright in one payment, is there a reason that we aren't thinking about so that we can cut that
Well,
expenditure line
You'd
down?
still have to make monthly payments on something you're financing, so you'd still have to put the money in the budget.
Correct.
It would, cost us
Is my,
a little bit more.
in the letters that Josh sent us, and
Right.
this doesn't go with what they're saying, we get a discount if we buy new and we pay up front. It would cost almost a third more if we don't pay for all of it at one time and they don't lease the farm equipment that way.
Is this a new piece of
Yeah,
equipment that we're getting?
this is what
That's
it's
the
on.
idea,
Cause
yeah.
that's the only kind that you get that municipal discount, cause we've asked about the for.
But that's part of it, is the municipal, using the municipal voting on it was to save the,
Right.
like 22,000.
But I think the
Spread
question,
it
I mean, I understand, I don't necessarily know that it makes sense for that particular piece of equipment, but I do understand kind of what you're saying, and so like thinking about counter to our current exercise of cutting expenses. I mean, one other, I guess, long-term question is if we think 5 years down the road to a plowing contract renewal, if it makes sense to try to bring that in-house, should we be setting aside $100,000 a year for equipment purchase so that we have the ability, so that we have the flexibility of doing that, because otherwise you're always gonna be looking at a $600,000 plus equipment outlay, and it's always going to be, not cost effective, but budget immediate to.
Well, but then, I mean, not that that's a bad idea, that's exactly the purpose of capital reserves. But then you have, say you're putting away $10,000 a year for the sake of argument, then you have money sitting in capital reserves for a period of time that people are going, why is that just sitting there?
Right.
Holding stuff long-term is a little more difficult, because then people just say, why is this money just sitting there doing nothing?
Yeah.
And at that point, it somewhat is.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this piece of equipment for a couple of years.
Yeah.
and, no one said then, well, I'm just explaining before your time. That, it was talked about, and no one said, oh, let's put 20 away. I think they just kind of. So it's kind of, that's why.
So I mean,
we're at
yeah,
where we're at.
I would love to put away several $100,000 for future equipment purchases, but that means we got to budget for that
Yeah, no,
whenever we're doing that. Yeah, I mean,
no, I understand that. It's saying, I absolutely agree. I think that we should do it. Can we cut 25,000 instead?
Right.
I go.
I did ask Jordy, you had asked, I think, or somebody, did, what could that excavator that we hope to get, if that could help with snow plowing, he said, no, it's not something that would be practical.
I don't think it's really wide enough
No.
to do that.
Can I ask a follow-up about that? Because I've been trying to wrap my mind around this as well, is that the big idea of this, of the excavate, of this piece of equipment was to assist, it was driven mostly by these big tree cutting projects we have, right? And the big roadside projects. Sorry to say this so late in the game, I guess, but I'm curious how an excavator is going to assist them with tree trimming other than, that they could do with something other than like a hole saw. You know,
Well,
like I fail to see how,
Has a mower head on it that can go.
well,
Like
it's got
that,
the,
chip it up.
the mulcher thing that they drop on the ground and chew up all the. Yeah,
And they can dig out ditches, it could clear out some culverts, I mean, he's not gonna be
okay,
using it for ditching, like, cause he doesn't have a big truck that empties, you know, and he'll take it away like Peter.
But there's an attachment on the end of the thing that goes upright, isn't there?
I
Yeah,
think
so it's not just a brush cutter on the ground, the excavator arm actually lifts it up and, you know, they drive down the street cutting this thing, so it's they clear it in a pass as opposed to using a pole saw and doing it stick by stick.
Isn't that what Ripper has? Exactly that.
Well.
no, that's what I thought we were talking about, but no, he's talking about something that actually goes up vertical, what Trevor has goes on the ground.
Well,
And
you
just-
know, so goes.
He grinds it down,
Yeah,
It's got carbide teeth on it, it chomps, really goes to trying to cut trees going down a road, that's a saw.
Yeah, so it's not what cause I thought that we were talking about an attachment like what Trevor has too. That's not what is proposed.
From my understanding.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on heavy equipment, so.
Just doing more like a transformer.
Is it 30,000 we're paying to the vendors now? Is there another way to slice that? In other words, give them a tax benefit discount or, I mean, I know they won't do it for cheaper, right? They gotta like make a living, but is there any other way to squeeze that and let them do the work still, but not, you know, let the private industry do the work? But give them a benefit of some kind?
I mean, we don't really have,
Just-
we don't really have the option of offering tax.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would like to have
Yeah.
a discount on their taxes if they do something.
Yeah,
Well, I was just bringing it up as a
We
way
don't
of
really
trying to keep private
have the
industry
option to do
involved
that.
instead of governments having a sitting piece of asset just
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
there.
I don't think.
I mean, I
it's
think-
gonna sit there.
We also,
I know, but-
we're paying, this is not gonna, this isn't
Right.
gonna take away, town still does a lot of,
Yeah, I try to get everybody a piece of the pie.
yeah,
but
this isn't
Everybody's
necessarily
really busy.
taking away from anyone, this is just an expense
I just
that,
wanted to share this.
yeah, this is an expense that we had this year that we know is gonna be continual. Now, the town is also gonna need other tree cutting work, so I mean, we're still gonna be engaging that service.
Oh, yeah. For safety purposes.
I don't know that we need to, well, I mean, because it depends on how comfortable people are with the $25,000 capital reserve
right, yeah, I'm just talking.
thing, yeah. Reduction.
I said I wasn't gonna talk, and the only thing I'm gonna say about it is I am worried that we are playing, not, that's the wrong words. I don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face and then leave them with nothing if we have a stupid hard year again, like we did with the storms and stuff like that. If we don't leave them with money to do something with, then what actually does happen?
We dip into the undesignated fund balance,
I could be a public,
that's the answer,
But that's it.
that's it.
yes, that was our only
I don't
safety
have any
net.
other money hanging around.
I mean, but we also
I was thinking
have,
that we'd have to like apply for like emergency bonds and have all of these town meetings and all the. We dip into
I
the, you
don't-
said it so nonchalantly,
I
like
don't
you
think
sold
such a
me.
thing exists.
You sold me, bud,
I
like.
don't think there's a such
I don't
thing
have
as
a
emergency.
we
funds.
also have $30,000 in storm damage in the operating budget.
Public works.
Does any of this take into account, and I'm. Pivot. Did did we put any money in for the potential ferry paving project that Mr. Rothschild has?
I'm just, no,
No.
not that
There's
amount,
nothing extra in here for it.
nothing
Okay.
extra. I would just do what we could do. I would take a slice out of what I'm hoping to get, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe the side of the road.
So what we
You
have,
know, the fact is, that could wait a year.
Right.
It doesn't have to happen then.
Well, if we had money in for it already, then I was gonna potentially needle you.
We have Janet saying she's gonna.
Yeah.
be able to
If
find-
we can, cool, if not,
Exactly.
okay, that's what I wanted to make sure that we were on the, we might not. Okay, part of our
It's
adventure.
too bad that the revenue that's going to generate will also be deferred.
yeah, so with that, we have we have $300,000 basically in paving budgeted this year, 200 in operating and 100 in.
And I don't
capital
want to touch any of
reserves.
that.
Yep,
We already did.
And we
I don't
had
know this anymore.
we got a estimate from the engineers for the reduced scope and that was 40 to 70,000 or something like that. It was not. All
Not
the
horrific.
China.
so, I mean, I have us under 5%.
That's not what we were trying to do.
Do
Would
do
that-
people feel comfortable with that?
What is, I'm just curious. What was magic about the 5%? How did you come up with that?
It was just feeling like, from a big picture perspective, what felt like an acceptable amount of increase. It is in a lot of ways
Between
Subjective.
the increase between 25 and 26, though.
Yeah.
Falls right in the middle there.
Last year we were at 8, this year, or the year before that, we were only at 2. And so it is a happy medium, and it is a number that while people will balk at it, it is chewable.
Okay, but the difference between 5% and 5.5% or
Is the school budget passing or failing?
so,
If you look at when the school budget failed,
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was that.
it was very, very close. And as soon as you start getting over 5 at all, people start paying very, very close attention to it, and they start to question, rightfully so, what is exactly happening in it. And then we also have the increases with Waldo County, we'll have the school budget, and so 5% was a number that
Feels manageable.
it doesn't really, that doesn't make me physically ill.
So,
But I also would like to say, like, if you're talking about net, right, then we're at, then we're at 6% increase because our revenues are still down, right? So but again, the revenues feel like we have less control over than we do the expenses.
I don't like touching the things I can't control.
But from
And
how much taxes are going to go up, it's an important,
Well, it's down from 16%.
maybe we did better than Waldo.
They're gonna be another nightmare
Did they pass
next
the
year.
18.2, I think?
I haven't seen anything.
And theirs is already slated to
I
go
think we
up
need
because
to
they got
see it
sued by the
from
union.
you. But
Oh.
anyway, if you say at this town meeting that there are things that have inflated this over which we have no control, that doesn't necessarily resonate with them. They're only interested in the bottom line.
And the county is the biggest one that you have no.
Yeah.
Right, well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it seems like that increase was just. I mean, you know,
Are we still looking at
So-
12% mill? Or 12 mill?
I have no idea yet.
I don't know.
so will you bring that summary to our budget, our select board meeting next week?
Summary,
That summary document that usually
Oh.
take the first cut at the mill, when do you think we be able to see that?
well, that would be with Ed, I'd have to talk with him, if we have Waldo, we have the school, I think all the facts.
Yeah.
Did you wanna talk about this?
Yeah, I guess there's two other things I just wanted to bring up, because I know Melissa started to talk about it with just because I know that Chris is online and thank you for finding $100,000 of savings on, on the revenue front that brings down the net. I do think, yeah, just thinking about next year, just making sure that the increases year over year remain sustainable, and just, it's great that we have that cushion this year, but I just would want to encourage the health center to continue to work on that, to make sure that, future years that we're not seeing another huge increase next year, because it doesn't feel sustainable for the community year over year.
And as a voter, CPI would be great. Keeping in line with growth over CPI would be great.
So yes, this is Chris. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
Can hear you now, yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, yes. So thank you so much for all of the hard work that all of you have done on this budget. And certainly just to share a couple of ideas that I have in the works. I would like to charge our health center advisory board this year with doing some work on building our health center endowment, to build some sustainable path for funding of the health center. So that is an active conversation. The other thing that is in the works right now is that we have a consulting firm that has been allegedly managing some of our health center finance services and helping us optimize our billing, but they have not actually been doing some of the work that we have been expecting that they were going to do. So that's in my plans to revisit their role, look at maybe moving some of their work in-house and being a little bit more hands-on with it, and looking at what we can outsource, what we can do in-house, and trying to optimize our revenue a little bit more. So there are definitely a couple of projects in the works in terms of sustainability for funding for the health center as we move forward.
Great, thank you so much. The other thing that I think it is worth bringing, because I know it looks like Peter and John are both online, is we did receive a letter from the ferry ticket advisory board asking us to reconsider the decision and put that project back in front of voters in the form of a warrant. And so wanted to raise that. I think for me personally, if we have under a 5% increase and this is a separate warrant, I think, I'm fine to put it in front of the voters and let the town decide what we want to do. But it has been a committee discussion, and I don't know if Peter or John want to mention anything else or discussion from the board.
Hi, folks. First of all, thanks for all your hard work. I'm glad I'm not sitting in your chairs right now. But I think we pretty much said what we think in the letter that I assume you all have read. Peter, Gabe, and I think that, it's difficult. 95% of the work on this project, I think, is done. What we're asking basically for is to have you folks send it to the voters. And I appreciate the fact that some people may not approve of this, but the survey results were very positive. I'm happy, and Janet, I watched the last meeting. If earlier Zoom meetings would help, I'm more than willing to do those. I would prefer to do them live, but I won't be back until maybe the 20th or so, or just shortly thereafter. but I'm happy to do Zoom meetings if we can arrange for those as well, just to, but you know, most of the materials that we circulated so far, I think are fairly self-explanatory. I don't think this is really rocket science. We did our homework. We tried to be fiscally conservative. We tried to give an explanation to people as to what impact it would probably have, especially if we were able to determine on their tax bills. The underlying feeling, I think, from the committee members, well, the three committee members that sent you the letter, is that we are in fairly dire straits, and anything we can do to help the viability of the community and attract families to the island and attract more, just create a more viable year-round population is a extremely important thing for the community. Other than that, I've said my piece, and we said our piece in the letter as well. I'm happy if you have any issues about the mechanics or anything else, I'm happy to try to answer them. But I won't hold you folks up any further.
John, can you help walk me through how we're gonna explain that we just sat here for the last hour and 10 minutes to pull $25,000 out of the budget to keep it under 5%? That way it's still reasonable, but then add in potentially $50,000 to $60,000 on top of what we just cut out to the townspeople?
It's hard to posture that question that way.
But
I know this
that's how
came
it's
up
gonna
at the
be
last.
to me.
I know at the last meeting. I think if it would make you more comfortable, normally I think in these warrants the select board says they recommend that it be adopted or they don't recommend. I talked to Gabe about this when he was sitting in your chairs. He recollected that there were a couple of times that the select board did not recommend a particular warrant. I think you folks could say you recommend it, you don't recommend it, you can't agree on recommending it, or there's just a division. You could say whatever you want, but I agree. I mean, I get it, Missy. I get the fact that you've been sitting there trying to knock off as much as you possibly can, but this is a separate warrant, and it's almost a standalone thing that I think that the voters can and should be allowed to consider.
Thank you.
Where do we get the money to pay for it if
If it passes.
If it passes? I'm pretty sure it's gonna pass.
Absolutely.
Well, you're gonna have 50,000.
56,400 and something.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's, again, talk about not being sustainable. That's not sustainable.
No. I think that if everybody's wanting to put it out to the out to the voters during town meeting, then it needs to go first. And there needs to be the way that I see it is almost like a debate. The pros and the cons, and that we do not currently have it funded unless it passes. And then if it passes, then with the understanding that we as a collective had the budget under 5 or at 5%, under 5%, whatever it is. And if they choose to do it, and what does it put it back up to? 7.2?
Roughly, no, 6 something. It's roughly
Maybe 6.7.
$50,000 was roughly 1%.
Yeah. And so with the understanding that that's the only way that I can see it going forth, where it is the most informative and decision-based for the town, for anybody else that's not reading it. I've said it for 6 years, people don't read. You skim it, you see what you want, you understand it the way that, you know, the text and tone that you put in your head with it. Cool, this is awesome. Ooh, this sucks. I think that it has to be almost debated out and have time for questions and answers on it. And in addition to public meetings beforehand. Because not everybody can make the meetings and stuff like that. And so you put somebody that's for it and somebody that's against it and let them go.
You reminded me of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare debates.
Never watched them.
So
It's the same thing.
I think my consideration is
And
that
nobody knew that.
we're looking at multiple, I mean, we're kind of looking at hypotheticals right now, right? Like we were lucky enough to get $100,000 donation to the health center to offset that cost, right? But we don't know that's gonna be there next year. So we kind of have to, in my brain, I'm already planning for next year's health center budget request to be at the bare minimum exactly what it is, right? Or was prior to this $100,000
Mhm.
donation. And then we would also have to be considering this project, which is another 55 or 60, which basically mean, and once something like this is in, I know I'm beating a dead horse. Once this kind of program is in, it's not gonna go away. And if we try to take it away, it's gonna cause problems. And I have a hard time envisioning how we're gonna approach this budget process next year if we are hitting the ground running,
Already.
effectively eliminating all of the cuts that we made this year.
The details of the ferry ticket committee charter, I guess, if you want to call it that, they do very much stipulate that if the program fails, it's done. If the program runs out of money, it's done for this year. If, you know, if any of these things happen, like this will go away. It's not a guaranteed thing.
And it's also right, by the way, if the math has been done out based on a certain number of tickets allocated to each family. So theoretically, the money that's being requested is exactly what it needs.
At least,
Based on the calculations,
Based on the
yes.
calculation. So theoretically, there wouldn't really be room for it to go over. Like you said, it would just.
Well, no, it won't go over. I mean, that is the point. When the money is exhausted, it's done. I mean, if that happens in 2 weeks after the program starts, then that's as long as it lasts.
But my concern is still for my office people, how they're going to manage it. And
I mean,
everybody's just concerned about, telling someone standing there buying tickets and the next person, for some reason, they're not eligible, and how that would,
Well,
Pass on.
that was the other caveat. The first time it causes a problem in the town office, it's also done. Cause I mean, I'm not gonna invite problems to walk through the door.
And I think we worked hard at kind of getting this budget down to a reasonable number. I would hate to see a $55,000 item come back into it because of passing a town vote. But also, as I said before, like, I don't like being the one to say that we shouldn't give the town the option. I feel like after this meeting, I will have said my pieces. I will feel like we as a committee have done what we can to bring the budget to a manageable number. And if the town wants to hear us say that and then turn around and, raise it back up again, then that's their prerogative. I think.
I believe that's what John's asking for too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how it's not gonna happen. And I think we'd be encouraging the town to set us up to have harder conversations than we did this year and next year, and that sounds just not productive, but I'm not gonna take away democracy, but I gotta say, I think we've worked really hard to get this reasonable, and I feel like this is a surefire way to put us back a few steps, but.
If that's what the majority goes for.
Right. If that was
majority of people at town meeting.
Right, and that's the problem.
Which is the bigger, yeah.
yeah. The analysis that, John, your committee did, which indicated that the impact on the tax, the mill rate, I think, just independently, I will say that it all sounds trivial when you say, well, it's $8 on top of $100,000 valuation or whatever number you threw out, but I don't think that is sensitive to what Pete has just said, which is we had an enormously contentious, difficult time getting the budget down to 5%. And if this adds another percent to the budget, it's definitely going to impact the mill rate, the tax revenue that has to, I mean, we don't have the money to come from anywhere else. So, I don't think that was really reflected. Could have been, it's not a criticism, but I don't think that was reflected in the survey. I don't think the people who responded so overwhelmingly positive realized that that was going to have a significant impact on the amount of taxes they were paying, which it's easy to say that is a trivial amount, but it is a big part of the picture. And that's what I'm worrying about here is how that gets presented in a town meeting. Do you want cheaper ferry tickets? Sure. I mean, nobody's going to be against that. But it's hard to accurately, to reasonably present that in the light of how strapped the town is right now without this.
That was an attempt to make the information as digestible as possible. If you say it'll add 8 basis points to the mill rate, nobody knows what that means.
I realize.
Well,
If you say it's $8 per 100,000 in valuation,
Yeah.
people can do that math in their head. So they understand exactly how it will affect them, rather than just throwing out words and numbers that don't make sense to people. I mean, most people don't know what the mill rate is, or how it affects them, or how it's calculated. I mean,
As long as it's done with your taxes don't go up $8 per 100,000 by approving cheaper ferry tickets. That's not what it is. It's as a collective, as a whole, with what the entire bill is. And I think that's the part that might have been a little bit disconnected.
Well,
the-
I think
the information is that itself was going to increase your taxes by this amount, outside of anything else. So whatever happens with the budget, whatever happens with the county, whatever happens with the school, all of that is separate. If you vote for this, it'll increase everyone's taxes by this amount. That it was put there to be digestible.
Right.
right, we just strove. I thought, saying that it was going to change the mill rate wouldn't mean anything to anybody. It wouldn't mean anything to me. but all we tried to do was say, okay, here's the budget. It's going to be about close to $55,000. And if it gets approved, what impact will it have? And most people have some notion, if they pay their taxes, of what they're valued at. So we just tried to make it digestible, as Brian was saying. And again, it's an estimate, but we've been about as transparent as you can be with the budget, which I think, if anything, is conservative, and with the impact it will have to individual taxpayers. I don't know how we could do it any better.
Right. No, I mean, I guess what I'm struggling with, John, and I personally, like I said, I think I would love to have more community discussion about this, because it's clear that there is a great deal of skepticism on the board, and it sounds like within town office staff, and how it would be implemented. And I think if there is a great deal of community support, to me, it's like, we should provide the information, see if the community is still widely in support, and if they are, then we should figure out how to make it happen. However, that also, to me, should be tempered in how we do it is as important as if we do it. And I would hate to create a situation where we have not had enough public debate ahead of town meeting, and so we're setting the entire community up for ugly discussion at a public meeting at a time when I feel like we don't need the world does not need more reason to have ugly discussion. Like, I want to make sure that there's, that there is time to do it in a way that is thoughtful and fosters like real understanding of each other, rather than feeling like, okay, like, let's debate one person on this side, one person on this side. Like, it feels like not the kind of community conversation that I want to be a part of in how we set up town meeting. That's my concern.
Yeah. I just don't want it to turn around and be like a kumbaya, this is what we want to do, and nobody understands. Everybody,
I mean, I don't think anybody's trying to sugarcoat this.
that's where we might not agree. I think that there are people that are trying to sugarcoat it, which is great, and it is a great program. It is just at what expense? Side note, if I can, because my ADHD is sticking a little hard today, did we put in $15,000 for your housing in there?
Yes.
I don't like the way it's suggested to be.
No, I know, I didn't see it when I was going through in mine.
And did we,
Because if we're not doing this, or at least putting this up for debate and stuff like that. We went through everybody else's, do we want to take housing down, $5,000 to $10,000 to start the thing going, as we went through everybody else's rec, or the recreational ones, to try to do it. Sorry, that was an hour ago conversation that I should have brought up, that I just now remembered.
What line of
and I think I did move down, Lincolnville to 10.
Cool.
And I did email Dave Kenny about that, and he said, they're grateful for whatever they receive. They do a lot of work. This year, they're hoping, to put in for a grant to do some, stabilization, sea level stabilization into there. But looking back.
I'm not
maybe
trying to
I did
derail
change
this.
that.
I'm okay with putting it to the town and letting this do, however, whatever that looks like.
Well, how about dropping it, cutting it down?
Yeah, the
maybe
first one instead of the,
25,000.
I think
I
that
don't
was,
really, that doesn't make me any much happier, but
Like this program?
yeah, for the ferry tickets. Yeah, it'd be great to get 10 tickets, but
Yeah.
but yeah, do it as a,
they didn't like that idea of the beach going from 5, cutting it back. It was 5, 10, or 15. Is that what the
Yeah.
scenario?
26,000, 53,000, or 80,000.
Depending on the number of tickets, we're looking
Yeah,
to,
5 tickets, 10 tickets, or 15 tickets.
we settled on
The-
10, just because it sounded like a good
Well,
number.
you 3, yeah.
Well, the concern we had was that we wanted to have a program that was robust to have enough to have some legitimate impact for families. I advocated in favor. I did not think 5 was enough. I thought 10 for the period of time we were talking was appropriate. And I thought 15 was probably too much and too expensive. So it was a compromise. But the vast majority of the committee members were in favor of 10. So the recommendation is 10, and I guess you could do whatever you want to do with that, but I thought the charge for us, I thought, was to come up with recommendations to you folks. But hey, I just think, personally, I think if you want to do it, you want to do it right, so it will actually impact people in a positive way. And we did put the protections on it. We not to go over, and tried to be conservative when we came up with the budget that we came up with. But no, the numbers are right. I mean, you can cut it in half. I wouldn't be in favor of it myself, but maybe it's better than a stick in the eye.
we have no guarantee over who's gonna buy these tickets. Maybe it's not gonna be a family. You know, I mean, I know what the point, the idea is to help. And I hope it would be the ones, you know, that would come in for it, but.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned this at a prior meeting. It's, you know, the difference for a family of four is like, I believe, $33.25 a trip. And that's a big kick. It's much more than a couple.
Yeah.
So
That was just $300.
There should be a petition. That would be the way.
We'll seek out a donor,
There we go.
Right, that's the whole thing.
honestly.
That came across as snarky and it wasn't meant to. It was actually a legitimate suggestion.
I haven't, how many people watch this show?
Nobody,
Nope,
well, not nobody, but
yeah,
effectively.
no one has said, I'll fund that for you.
Right, so I guess I don't have a clear enough sense for what the timeline needs to be in order to make this happen or not to have an informed community discussion. I think it's worth having more community discussion about, but I also, like I said, it feels like there's a lot of frustration around this table, and it's not the kind of energy that I want to bring into a town meeting. So like, I am frustrated by that, and I'm acknowledging that, like.
Well, about the middle of April, I'm supposed to have the warrant prepared. If you want it in the town report, historically, I like to have things in there like ordinance and things just for the fact that you went back, you wouldn't have to have a piece of paper stuck in the town report 10 years from now to find out what was happening. So, I mean, you could sign a warrant that this article is not on, for instance, if it didn't go through. And then I suppose, but if you're gonna put it on the warrant, you're gonna add that money in somewhere. I don't wanna lose that tractor, John. So, I mean, either we're gonna have, even if the article is in there separately, I mean, I've got to have it. I'd like to have it by the 15th of April.
Yeah,
Like
It's the
Go
process
ahead.
of issuing a citizen petition.
I'm already.
Do we have a way that we can put it to the town whether they wanna vote on it? Instead of us deciding whether they vote on it?
Well, you know they're gonna vote on.
No, so stop. Like that is what I don't, we need to share information with people. I mean, I think
Oh, yeah.
like that's where like I think people need the information that in order to make an informed decision, and I'm frustrated because I feel like the sort of underlying sentiment is that people are unwilling to take in the information. This is relatively simple information, and we just have not had a chance to share it with people to have an informed decision, to make an informed collective decision. And so I think that is my biggest concern is, do we have the time to have that discussion so that it does not turn into a snark fest at town meeting?
On Zoom with John, is that what you're meeting? I mean, is that gonna bring people to? I don't know how many people tuned into the
Nobody.
meetings.
We had several that were public, and I don't believe, I mean, except for the individuals on the actual committee, Peter and Gabe, you know, they attended. I don't think there was anyone from the public there.
It might have been a time of day issue.
Potentially. It was, yeah, I mean, it was late morning.
Go ahead with your comment.
You're holding it in.
No.
Yep. Gonna choke on that one, thank you. Okay, I'll give it to Peter for next year. Or hypothetically speaking, if we were concerned, I'm in agreement, we need to get the information out there. And I do think that if it is put out in this way, where potentially this will only cost you $8,000 per $100,000 of your assessed value in addition to the rest of it, it will pass. I think that we could do it at the lower run, at the 5 tickets per family, and hopefully Roswell doesn't have anything to throw at me, we cut the $15,000 for housing. And we find 10 grand from somewhere else, and then we are cutting even with it. If it fails, then the $26,906.25 goes into the undesignated funds or general reserve or whatever the hell else it goes into. But then we are still breaking even with it.
You mean keeping it under a 5% increase?
Yeah.
Is that?
But I'm gonna say take the $10,000 from the preschool, because that's the only other place I can find it.
Right, I mean, but
And I know that it's not good. It's not good no matter how you do it. That was the only suggestion that I could come up with. That was something new that I couldn't find was the housing. And if anybody has a suggestion about where else to grab it, cool. I don't know. But that
right,
would be.
no, I mean, I think with all of what the kind of major focus that I feel like, big picture, what should we be focused on if we're trying to attract families and we're trying to like supporting the preschool and supporting affordable housing, to me is like the big issues. I mean, I understand that this is meant to support affordability, but, and I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt, John, but to me, we need more time then to have community discussion before we bring it to town meeting. If it's going to turn into, if we have this much angst about it as a board, I just worry about what the community discussion will be at town meeting until we have, unless there is additional community work done to understand what the broader level of support is and bringing it to a town vote. Because I don't want to go back around like, well, if we support this social program, then we have to cut this in order to be able to afford it. Like, that just is like making everyone lose.
And,
affordability.
and to, support what Shay just said, I would just say, I think that this proposal, as a way of addressing the fundamental questions that are subverting the sustainability of this island. This is a low priority. I mean, housing, the school, the preschool. I mean, if you're sitting on the mainland thinking, do I want to move to Islesboro, saving $30 on ferry tickets, it's not going to push you one way or another. And so
And I hope it doesn't.
I have a little problem. I quite understand how difficult it is in the last, whatever it's been, hour and a half, to find even $10,000 or $15,000 in this budget. And I appreciate the experience that it has to be something like 5%.
Right.
So it's sort of apples and oranges is what I'm saying. And there's nothing magic about the housing budget. If it's $10,000, it's something anyway. There's nothing magic about all bunch of things in here, but we're asking that to be in competition with this proposal. And I think that is not clearly the most effective way of attracting new families here.
Right. No, I agree totally.
Right.
I don't want to take the money out of housing and I don't want
No,
to
it's
take
in
the money away from
44.9.
the preschool. But if it's what it is a double-edged sword no matter how you do it.
Great.
And if we have to make sure that we have the money to fund something, if it is approved, that was where my brain was that we need to have the money in there someplace.
Well, if it needs to be, if it's approved, then it would increase the mill rate more than the.
Right.
Which is, the mill rate is, I mean, we spend all day doing the 5%, the mill rate is still gonna increase because of the county budget that we have no control over. So, again, we're just trying to figure out what we do have control over. And I guess,
And it's not only the probability this will be a contentious town meeting if this is put out there. But it's the priorities. It's the question of, is this the highest priority for that $50,000? And what I've gotten out of this meeting for last hour and a half is we've got some really important other issues to fund as well. And I'm not sure that the public at a meeting is going to understand that this is in competition with all these other things.
So I feel like what I'm hearing is going back to, it feels like we need to do more community work before it becomes a warrant article. Is that?
I think that if we were going to make it a warrant article, then the community work has to start and has to be done like in progress tomorrow with the meetings going through, but we need to let John know one way or another probably today.
I mean, I guess that's the question for John and Peter is like, it feels like there needs to be a lot of work in order to not repeat this level of discussion at town meeting. And so, do you feel like there's time to do the community education on that warrant?
I think the work's already been done, frankly. If the materials that we prepared and that were approved by the subcommittee are basically an overview, a narrative overview, a budget. It's all there. I mean, if we want to set up Zoom meetings for next week, I'm prepared to do it.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Let's do it.
I'll need.
And you're gonna be at town meeting, correct, John?
I'm watching Carrie pulling her hair out of her head. It looks like. Carrie, are you?
That was me. My hair was longer when I came in.
I don't see much room on the calendar, John, unfortunately.
Oh, is that what you're looking at? Okay.
Yeah.
Next week is really full with meetings, including the school board meeting on Monday, which
Okay.
isn't on our calendar, but it's
April
on other people's minds.
April 6th?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be.
And
How about the
all
week-
other nights. The week
How about the
after
week of
that,
the 13th?
we could do the 14th, and then Janet wants the information by the 15th.
Oh, for the warrant.
Mhm.
And I really don't have time to put into it. I mean, I don't know if Carrie would like to be in charge of this. I've got a lot to work to do to get the warrant ready and everything. And I don't know how much Peter Wilcox could help him do.
John, at this point, I think unless you're willing to commit 2 days a week and then possibly weekends for in-person, this is something that might have to be sidelined. Just because of the way that the timing of it came through.
Well.
When do you
all
get
I
back?
We will get back around the 20th, I believe.
April 20th.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's unfortunate because it'd be nice if we could do like meetings at the cafe where people can sit down and talk about it.
Right.
And then in addition
Well,
to Zoom.
Yeah.
And so-
Well, I can do Zoom literally. Well, I got to be driving across the country, so that would be a little bit hard. But I mean, I can do a Zoom meeting on the 14th, follow it up with a second Zoom meeting if you want, and then a live meeting. But I don't know how to overcome Janet's concerns. I mean, if she needs a warrant, she needs a warrant.
Right, and it would have to be.
All I can tell you is I tried to do, as some of you know, when this ad hoc committee got appointed, I literally tried to do everything as quickly as I possibly could. So if we're jammed up, we're jammed up, but.
But I think we're stoved up. Just because of the timing of it. Cause we have to have everything into Janet by the 13th, so she can proofread it and go through and correlate the 14th and then send it off the 15th. That gives you 12 days and you're gonna be driving across country. And I know that you have other members of the ad hoc team also.
And maybe Gabe.
Do you want to give them a day so that they can try to rally and see if they can pull everything together in a week? And they can report back to Janet tomorrow on the dates and times that they're doing? And if not, then no?
I just basically need, I mean, everything we've done to date is in terms of numbers and in terms of guidelines and everything else, I think is just it's all been done. We've got the budget, we've got the overview, we got the proposed agreement that people are going to be signing. It's all there. So what else? Tell me what else you need. I don't know what else you need.
We need the town to have a full understanding of what's going on.
And we need warrant language. And I think that's my concern, Janet, is what we need to do on the warrant language side of things in order to publish it. We can, I mean, to me, we can do, well.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe John can send me, a draft of what you think the warrant language would be, how it's broken down, because I would send it to the town's attorney. She'll see the final warrant, she'll look at that, but I think she should be the one that writes this article. But I don't have enough information to gather to put what it needs to have in it. I mean, there's a lot of information that you've created, a lot, and for maybe Brian could pick certain say this, that. I mean, we're gonna go with the 10 tickets, however. But all this other stuff, that all not gonna go into a warrant article.
All right. Let me ask you this, Janet. Has there been a warrant article on a separate financial issue in recent history? Meaning not just the full budget, but a particular.
Not in the past 7 years.
Melissa has a great memory. Not that I'm aware of. I'd have to go back and look. You mean something that there have been separate warrant articles, but they might not have had money associated with them. I don't remember having one that has money associated with it, that if it passed and we didn't budget for it.
A lot of the separate articles are, should the town take possession of this? Should this action be taken? A lot of the separate articles don't have a monetary requirement attached.
And I guess it could be undesignated fund balance.
Well, if I don't have any recent town reports with me, so what I'm thinking is, Brian, maybe you could do this. If there's, just send me a couple of warrants on what were separate questions, so I know what the proper phraseology is, and I'll try to pound the facts into something that I can send to Janet.
I'll see what I can find.
Yeah, this is, let's see. I'm not here tomorrow, but I could look Friday.
Right. Well, Brian, tell you what, you see what you can find. And what I can do is work with that language, and I can try to send something to Janet tomorrow. And so on Friday, you can take a look at it.
Okay, and if you just, bulleted the main issues that the attorney could.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to work with the attorney as well. And in the meantime, do we want to set up an initial informational Zoom meeting on the 14th, was it?
Sure, go ahead. Can you do that for him?
I can do that.
Okay,
So
so,
this is John driving one? Yeah.
No, not on the 14th.
Okay.
so how about you guys, it sounds to me like you guys are going to work together and then we will get an update at the select board meeting on the 8th about if enough progress has been made to make sure to understand if there's a viable warrant article. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. The other thing, with your permission, or with everyone's okay, I had started this conversation last week or the week before because Dan Tudor had been after me for an article. And at the time, I thought we had the green light, so I had sent him an article with a short introduction that had basically just the overview document that I was going to ask him to publish in the Hillsborough Island News. The overview document is, I think, fairly neutral. It just basically, it has a background. Hold on, I can call it up right now. It has a background. It has, let me just get it.
Yeah, I mean, John, personally, and I know you circulated it to us, I haven't read it in detail, but I think I'm perfectly comfortable with you sharing that as an information piece, to start the public education and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it basically just has background. It has an overview of how it's going to work, and it has a short discussion about the cost. And if it's okay, I'll just ask Dan to publish that.
That's fine with me.
Great.
Great. Well, that's a good way to get.
When does his paper go out?
He's putting the paper together right now, so it should be out there. It'll be out very shortly, I believe. And that's a great way to get the information disseminated, I would think.
Yeah, John, I think the paper goes to the printer on Monday. That's the day it usually goes.
And I would say you can put it out as the committee's recommendation, and then that way we won't have the warrant article, so we don't necessarily have to get into warrant language, but it can start to socialize the committee's recommendation.
In the introduction, I'll put down that this is the recommendation of the subcommittee, but I won't say anything about the select board.
Sounds good. All right, so are we ready to wrap for the night?
Yeah.
Second.
I was gonna say, we might have to have a special selectmen's meeting to sign the warrant. I see April 8th, I don't know if I'll have it ready by then, so it may be that next week of April 15th, I'd get it out to you ahead of time, and if I can get it back from the attorney in time or else I would just send one in not signed, but you wanna see it.
Yeah, it would be helpful to see it. If you need it before the 22nd, then yeah, let us know. We can come up with something on the 8th.
Okay, so Janet, I'm happy to work with the attorney.
Steve is gonna be on Zoom next week.
Okay.
So,
You both are on Zoom next week?
yes.
Okay. All right.
And Carrie, I'll be in touch with you. Are you in tomorrow, Carrie?
Say no, Carrie. Say what? I'm sorry.
Are you in tomorrow?
Yes, and tomorrow.
Okay, I'll shoot you a note. I just need to confirm dates because I haven't been looking at my real calendar while we've been talking. Thank you, everyone. Sorry to.
Thank you, John. Thank you.